If you're seeing housing headlines this January that sound unusually confident or decisive, it's worth slowing down before taking them at face value. Early year coverage often feels more definitive than the information behind it supports. I'm Jefferson Akin, and this is Market Pulse Weekly, where I help homeowners and buyers in Clark and Cowlitz counties make sense of the market using local context rather than national noise. January is a tricky month to interpret because housing headlines tend to restart before the market itself really does. Coverage ramps back up after the holidays, but real market activity takes longer to reestablish its rhythm. Most early January reporting is built on partial information. December is one of the quietest months of the year for real estate. Fewer homes are listed, fewer buyers are touring, and fewer transactions close. When reporting resumes in January, those short, quiet stretches are often treated as meaningful signals, even though they largely are driven by the calendar. That's where headlines becomes misleading. They're often using incomplete data to explain conditions that haven't fully formed yet. Another factor that adds confusion is how seasonal pauses distort comparisons. Month-to-month changes around the end of the year can look dramatic on paper simply because December's activity is muted. Without acknowledging that seasonal context, normal fluctuations can easily be mistaken for market shifts. Separate from that, there's a timing gap between behavior and confirmation. What buyers and sellers are doing locally doesn't show up immediately in the data. Here in Southwest Washington, the most reliable insights come from closed sales and longer running trends, which often reflect decisions made weeks or even months earlier. Early January headlines often arrive before that confirmation exists. There's also a psychological layer at play. A new year creates a natural desire for clarity and direction. People want to know where things stand. Headlines tend to meet that desire with certainty, even when the underlying information is still catching up. That's why January is less about conclusions and more about perspective. A more useful question right now isn't whether the market is changing direction, but whether enough complete local information has come in to support the claims being made. In most cases, the data is still catching up. If you read early year coverage through that lens, it becomes much easier to stay informed without feeling pressure to react. A more in-depth breakdown is in this week's Market Pulse Weekly blog. You'll find a link in the description below. See you next week.